Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Ten of Cups, which coincidentally is the mood that I am in right now. Total wish fulfillment, feeling happily ever after in my body. I don't really even know why, to be honest, but I just woke up today feeling really good. And I hope that you do too. So, anyway, let's see if the message can keep that same energy. Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us to this table yet again to see what messages are important to our well-being today and that will forward us to a prosperous future. Oh, this is good. This is a good start. With the Empress on the bottom, yes, come through, Empress. All right, so we got the Magician and we got the Four of Wands. What is this saying? So we got manifestation, and then we have the partnership and union card, which is a balance, creativity, productivity, having overcome some great challenge. So maybe a partnership that has ultimately manifested itself through some great odds or been manifested on account of, or I should say in spite of, some great feats and some great odds against it, one to another, individually, collectively. There was a challenge before this commitment could commence, is what these two cards are saying. And the Magician card is definitely a high vibration right now, especially when we got the Empress at the bottom of the deck. That's definitely this is a fertile union, a fruitful union. It's one that is, exalted in a position of power and authority as the Empress is. Definitely want to make note of the fertility of the union, though. There's something really special about what this commitment brings forth. It's almost magical in a sense with the Magician card, that it's just the coming together of this collaboration, whatever it is, because it doesn't have to be love. Obviously, it can be professional, it could even be platonic, but there's some connection of sorts, some collaboration that is extremely fruitful. That is definitely, every time we want to record, here come the flies and the gnats. It's really ridiculous. It's diabolical, actually, and we're not here for that, so stay off the table. These two people bring something very highly treasured to the table, and it coming together the way that it does is just like an expanded force. It literally brings life to life, if that makes any sense, because the Empress being at the bottom is really like a great magnifier of these two energies, because the Empress is not only, like I said, she creates life, she nurtures life, and she also is the mother freaker. Sorry, that was a gnat, nothing too nasty. And she also is, she's very creative, in every sense of the word, not just in the procreation of life, but just in even in an artistic sense, So something about this union is highly exalted, very magical, very fruitful, and I would say inspirational, for sure. And it's also very receptive. The Magician is kind of more like, it looks like a man, so I would say a masculine energy. The Empress Or maybe it's a union between the sorts of like a magician and an empress in a sense. Or just, a man that is very material, a master of his material realm, and the empress who is the master of her fertility. Or there's something else I want to say about her that's not coming to light right now, but there's something more to her than just having babies. It's magical in itself. Well, why, of course, as the woman is, because the cycle, the creation of life itself is a mystery, and it is magical. So again, these two energies coming together, they create something that is evolved, and perhaps that is the victory, because the union of the two is what is contributing to some evolution of creation itself. There we go. All right, here we go. And we're off of that, but great way to start. Let's see, that was too many. Thank you, Spirit. Will give us another message. Give us some more messages, some more cards to give us some color around this storyline. What do we need to know? Way too many. Wow, okay. Victory and success. There's some level of recognition that this union attracts with the Six of Wands card. And it just further, it further confirms the energy of an overcome of feats in this Four of Wands card, that there was some confusion and maybe even competition that was on the heels of this union, maybe even obstructing it in some way, shapes, and forms. But there was a manifestation of release from those distractions and those determinations of obstruction and destruction that the two overcame to bring balance one to another, because each one is balanced. There's a Two of Wands here, the Two of Wands here, and together it's like a reinforcement of balance, of passion, of love, of creativity, of power. And this gives me the exalted position that was needed to reach and to obtain and sustain individually in order for this union to have reached this level of manifestation. There was something that was overcome by these two individuals, individually first, maybe elevating or transcending beyond above the fray of society, or on the fringe of society as it is. The masculine and the feminine both have a great feat to overcome, to gain their own independence and to find some peace within the chaos of life, in the projected chaos of life, to connect to the truth of who they are and what they have to offer, whole and complete as themselves, and what they're capable of bringing to light. Literally connecting to their own magic is what the feat of the masculine, and when I'm saying masculine and feminine, it doesn't have to be man and woman. It can, as a matter of fact, this card even implies that sometimes that this is a same-sex relationship. It's just about two energies that are balanced within themselves and whole and complete within themselves, that are coming into alignment one with another. That's what I'm saying by masculine and feminine, just to be clear, just so it is clear how it is over here on this channel. But we have we got the Queen of Swords, and we got the Nine of Cups, which is just finding integrity in in your spiritual satisfaction, being honest about what satisfies you in a spiritual sense, and ultimately in a spirit, and in a emotional sense, pardon me, and ultimately in a spiritual sense. That is the overcoming, to find that balance of spirit and satisfaction. Well, of spiritual satisfaction and carnal satisfaction, because sometimes this card, especially lately, can come up as overindulgence, or to be wary of doing too much in some regard, over drinking, overeating, overthinking. Hey, why not? All the extremes of life that we can all often get caught up in just by way of association with the world itself, just by way of existence in the world, is, the challenge and the charge for us all to find satisfaction truly in the sensations of life, but also not to dismiss the spiritual satisfaction, which is more paramount, or finding the spiritual satisfaction even within the carnal satisfaction or the sensational satisfaction of life. There needs to be a balance. It can't be all pleasure, not to say it needs to be pain either. It doesn't have to be at all. But when we are, because usually overindulgence is incited from a matter of soothing some pain, when you're reaching for things that fill some void, or satisfy you, gratify you, I would say, more immediately. It's because there's some self-medication or self-soothing that we are looking to have, to just find balance in ourselves, to find some settlement of our emotional energy. And when we are in the truth of who we are, grounded in the integrity of our being. This satisfaction it looks different. You actually are less satisfied by overindulging than you were when you didn't know who you were. When you are sure and grounded of your identity, you find a different sensation in life than what is ultimately projected by society for you to submit to, or to pursue, to crave, I will even say. And again, yet another great feat, perhaps that being, it doesn't have to be exclusive to the masculine energy. But I would say in this essence here, with masculines ultimately, especially in relationships, having a great challenge to find some stability in their sensational, satisfaction of intimacy in particular. That is a challenge for a man, to find satisfaction in just who he is, and not to be looking elsewhere to be validated by multiple cups, to fulfill his needs, or to soothe his ego, to serve his ego, I would even say. And for the feminine energy, to know the truth, for him to actually know how magical it is just to have one cup, and how magical he is whole and complete as just one being, not really needing to search outside of self for any justification or affirmation of his powerful existence. And for the feminine energy, finding the truth of her being connected even to that Empress card, that her fertility is magical in itself. As I was saying, being a woman is just, the most magical essence that you can really embody in a human sense. It's such a mysterious and mystical existence, and being connected to that truth and enamored with that honor within yourself, is also the feet in a society that really tells you that, you're a dime a dozen ultimately. And then that projection is filtered down to us all, one to another. And we start to project to one another that you ain't shit, pretty much, without the other. Or if not for the other, you ain't shit. When in actuality, we are the shit together, really and truly. But it comes first from, as I said, being balanced in your individual truth, your singular sacred truth, and that being purified in a spiritual sense, and that energy being a vibration that is an attractive force for someone that also is certain of who he or she is. And what does that do? As I said, it begins to procreate new possibilities of creativity and creation itself, right? So let's see. What's next? Okay. We got the Moon card. I really started not to take these because I didn't feel it, but we'll work with it and see. We got the Two of Swords, which is about being at a crossroads, maybe even of decision making, being perhaps uncertain about something or another. Okay, and with the Wheel of Fortune here, the moon is about perhaps secrets or even emotions. So it kind of, yeah, okay, this is good. And then the Five of Cups is also an emotional card, but it's more about depression, anxiety. So this is the synergy of what I'm realizing lately is that for me, I do a lot of channeling, different cards bring up things, and then in the next round, sometimes those cards almost like clarify or confirm what I just said. And that's exactly what's happening here. It's like that uncertainty of self is what the feminine aspect was dealing with, and being almost both actually on the masculine and feminine side, being lost in their emotions, being uncertain of how they should even feel about themselves, about their circumstances, about their life experiences, and that projecting the reality of their life force, and then being an attractive essence thereof. This is the overcoming. Victory over this, I will say, this lack of trust in self for the feminine energy. This, because of the emotional instability under the Four of Wands, and this lack of value in the masculine energy, also from the same regard. These experiences, dark in essence, that have expressed some illusion with the Moon card of spiritual what's the word I'm looking for? Of like spiritual value to the masculine, almost making him reject his emotional self, reject his love energy, his love vibration, almost making the feminine reject the logic that she connects to from an emotional sense, because as emotional creatures, that's where our intelligence is most profound, and then this, in society as it's been, we've kind of cultivated this way of life where we are untrustworthy of ourselves, and so therefore we don't trust one another. And that's not a place to start a balanced union, where as a feminine you feel like you're always being ridiculed because of your emotional energy, and you don't feel value in it for yourself, and then don't see the value projected to you. You feel very imbalanced, and therefore, almost disabled to make powerful decisions for yourself or otherwise. Or you actually make disempowered decisions on account of that instability. And then for the masculine energy, it's like you've experienced so much loss and disappointment and hurt even that it disables you to have trust in the value of the love that you possess, let alone in connecting. This is like Two of Cups energy here, and committing or connecting with any vibration outside of you. And then what does that do? That starts the trend of overindulgence, right? That Nine of Cups in the adverse energy, where you're looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for validation, confirmation, affirmation in all the wrong places on account of the cups of milk or wine or whatever you want to call it that were spilled in the past, which ultimately is just, that these energies are created, have created a spirit of fear, whether projected or internalized. That's what this progression of cards is representative of. Fear of the unknown with the Moon card. There was an overcoming of that, or is an overcoming of that energy. And maybe it's come first because it's not even clear to the overcomers just how victorious they are or have been over the circumstances that they have incurred in life. Just not even being 100% clarified, the evidence of their power and their might, that this has already happened by way of, their abilities to transmute. That's what I'm getting from the Magician card, to transmute these energies into something that's more fortifying, as here in the Wheel card, the Wheel of Fortune card suggests, to turn the hands of time forward and not continue to cycle backwards into toxicity that is not fruitful or forwarding for life purpose or life procreativity or just creativity and creation in general. This is an evolution of the human spirit, in its most spiritual essence. This is the Jupiter energy, which expands and magnifies anything that it is connected to, anything that it encounters ultimately, so that a small win will ultimately feel like, a small win as perceived by the feminine and masculine force, meaning you didn't even know how great of a feat you overcame, is magnified both in its impact, and expanded ways. Like, it's magnified beyond perception, like human perception, out of this world type of perception as to how great that small overcoming was to the evolvement and advancement of not just society, but human existence overall. And then having that impact, Jupiter also is the return, like the rewarding and like karma itself of the work that was committed to, so the commitment here to be whole and complete, to be hopeful of, divine union and connectivity or just creativity in any sense, it yields such a high reward that it's almost unfathomable what you are about to receive. It's something beyond like your wildest imagination, even when Jupiter is in the mix. When this is like universal forces rewarding, and returning the harvest of your sowing, literally repaying you for your investment. But it's like, stock market and on the rise, because it's dividends on what you ultimately put in. Like, you put in something that seemed, or at least you perceived it to be, a very low investment, and here you are banging out with, I don't know a lot about stocks and bonds and stuff like that, but ultimately how it grows, how it inflates from based on what you bought in to is like out of this world. You know what I mean? I hope that I'm conveying that, because I feel a little tongue-tied right now. But I'm just saying to pretty much get ready for a magnitude, like an explosion of blessings in the most blissful, essence of such, because of all that. It's like, as much as you may have felt you lost, or low vibrational energies you incurred, you can like almost quadruple that in the return for that overcoming, and in return for that invested energy to even just withstand the experience as it was, to, like I said, to stay above the fray here in the Six of Wands, to not get swept away in the current of societal standards of success and satisfaction and, security and stability. There may have been times when you felt very unstable, even emotionally or mentally, energetically, physically, felt insecure and unstable, but you kept your head up. You didn't allow that to drop you into any like diabolical determinations for stability or success, or you didn't like almost fighting against the current. You didn't do that in the sense of the current being where the universe was shifting you and taking you, where your destiny was calling you to. You didn't really fight those waves. They say, when you fight the water, it just makes it worse. You almost kind of floated with the current of the universal order, no matter how rough the seas may have gotten, no matter how rough the water, literally with the cups energy, emotionally and mentally, how rough those waters may have become. You just kept your head above water, and somehow you stayed afloat. And now it's like this universe is almost like this, like an anchor, in a sense where, your ships are finally coming in a sense, for all the ways that you just stayed with the current. You didn't fight against your destiny. All right, let's get a few more. Spirit, what else do we want to know today? Oh, flew off the table. This is moving ahead on those, away from heartbreak and fear and rejection and resentment and unfavorable circumstances that you've healed and overcome from, and moving over to peaceful, calmer waters. Let's go a little faster so I can get it out. That's a crossover moment, and this is exactly representative of those turbulent waters crossing over into more calm waters in the mental sense and psychologically, and also in the emotional sense as they're in water. Yep, judgment. That is the determination of the divine. That's like you being called into your highest vibration of creativity, almost being resurrected from what may have been many spiritual deaths for some of us, or felt like death in some regards, like depression and anxiety and instability and imbalance, and those lower vibrational experiences in life, can really be depleting in an actual sense, so being resurrected from that low vibration and being called into some higher realm of existence right here in the earth is what the Judgment card represents. It's like you living on a whole nother timeline from whence you came, in a sense, being called to a different dimension of divinity right here in the earth where you are. It's really this elevated and transcended perspective of life, and perception of life. You seeing life from a different view that doesn't weigh you down anymore, above the fray of society. You're almost living in another world. Yeah, here's the independence, where your spiritual clout is manifesting into material clout and actual, reward, because this is pentacle energy. So not only do you have the respect from an ethereal essence, meaning God values you and values you enough to even divine it so that you would have access to this spiritual essence, that invitation to being resurrected, to being, transcended beyond, the terrors of society, in a sense. You have that as the first gift, and then as you answered that call or answer to it, it begins to manifest itself in a material way, magician energy, to actual fruits of your labor just by that answering. And it goes back to what I was saying, where some of us may have felt like what we did was small, like you don't even know that you just having the intention of grace and love and kindness and patience, literally fruits of the spirit here. And I think there are 9 of them. Look it up, what the fruits of the spirit are. Temperance, long suffering here, in a sense, where you endured much. Those fruits of the spirit, you thought it was just, you just getting through life and passing along, barely making it, shucking and surviving, was that the word? Good times, this was coming to mind. Hanging and surviving, or whatever the words are. But that impoverished, almost scarcity experience of life, so it was perceived to be, in the sensational sense. You thought that you just sticking it out and keeping a high-valued mindset toward it all was small. You thought it was just your reasonable service to just get through life, but little did you know it was the way in which you invested your energy in that market, in that world market of sorts, that has afforded you to come out on top, to be independent, to be prosperous, to literally be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, to living your life like it's golden, is this card ultimately, where she's not really worried about much. She didn't know that what she was doing was affording her this lifestyle of independence and sovereignty in her own spirit, and security in a very material sense, and stability all around. She didn't know, but here it is, that's exactly what it's afforded her. And again, back to that Jupiter energy, it's like, and also I'm forgetting that we started with the 10 of Cups, which is like total wish fulfillment, happily ever after, multiple streams of income, partnership in its most holistic form, legacy that's being created and sustained, and just happiness in a very simple expression. This is what that affords you. Your level of happiness looks different from someone else's. Your garden may grow different fruits, your pentacles may shine a little bit differently, but it's about being sensationally satisfied in spirit and in truth from the fruits from the seeds that you have sown, and from the harvest that it yields eternally, because this doesn't stop. With the Judgment card here, this continues on and on. This is the lifestyle that you have manifested for yourself on account of just the intention to, be a manifester, to be magical and to be balanced and integral in that power. You didn't even know you had the power, but the way that you put it into action made all the difference. Okay, I think this will probably be it. Yeah, and then we got, of course, as always, this, this energy that would look to come against that vibration and maybe even project you back into heartbreak, project you back into, just as soon as I'm sitting here saying like, I'm so happy, I feel so good today, it could be somebody sitting around like, well, how can I disrupt that peace? How can I infringe upon that happiness, But this is just saying that this is the judgment for that energy, that you cannot return to cycles of fear and pain that you have already overcome. That's the judgment of that Nine of Pentacles energy, where you have like literally crossed over into your own Garden of Eden. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be new experiences to face, but it's the energy that you embody now that has elevated you above the fray of this vibration can't meet you there. It can't meet you with old cycles of unhealed, pain and fear and resistance and resentment. It can't really meet you there because you've already transcended that level of experience, of life experience. You have elevated into a new force of being. So although it may try, and I would say, especially with this is like past force, I would say the caution is to be mindful of projections that don't belong to you anymore, like those that would like to project their anxiety or their angst or fear about life onto you because they see that you don't live there anymore, that you don't reside in that space, you don't swim in those waters anymore. You've moved on to, new horizons. Some might want to project, they might even actually put energy and effort towards reclaiming your high vibration or resisting it in some way. But I feel like at this point in the game, it's like work wasted, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't manifest, it's like no matter how much that energy persists, you are continuously sitting in this position. First of all, it will sacrifice itself just by the persistence alone, but also you are in an eternal space of enlightenment. That means that whether you're sitting still, moving forward, whether you look like you're up or down, you're always in this spirit of expectation for there to be a higher vibration of enlightenment at your fingertips and at your beck and call, just simply off of the fact that you've already done the work to put yourself there. It's like what you have invested in yourself and your wholeness and your healing is what keeps you here on this tree of life, is what I'm seeing it as ultimately. It can be a stuck vibration or a vibration that's in waiting, but I'm not feeling it like that now. I'm feeling it as if the work that you have done persistently is what has evolved you to always be able to expect the best of life. That no matter what it looks like, the world around you could be going to shit. People you could have hidden enemies on the outside looking in for the rest of your life. They will never get into those gates, number one, because they don't have access to the enlightenment that you have manifested in your life. And it's that enlightenment that is ultimately your protection, that, as I said, as long as you continue to be steadfast in the work of yourself, and that's just really investing in your well-being and in the highest vibration of your energetic force. That means being in integrity with all you do, with the work that you output. This Eight of Pentacles is about being intentional about work that is spiritually satisfying and gratifying. As I said before, not just being held in contempt by societal standards of success and even work and the value of that exchange, work and return. This is an ethereal work that really, supersedes anything that you can do in the earth in the physical sense, because it's divinely inspired. And yes, it's an attractive force for adverse energies, true indeed. But what is that energy running into but judgment against his own self? That energy can't get past the judgment of the divine at this time unless you cease to do the work that is most, divinely ordained to the nature of you, unless you cease to work your magic and cease to, stay in the manifested intention to co-create with others that are in that alignment. That's the only way that a force like this could penetrate what's already been written in the stars and ordained from the Most High in the earth as it already is in heaven. All right, so let's see. So heartbreak is not even a thing. Yeah, no. Because we are sitting in the highest authority of our emotional intelligence, of our psychic intel and genius, as a matter of fact, with the Queen, psychic mastery. That means that you are synergized with your spiritual self from the highest vibration down, from the intel that comes from an intangible space, and that communicates through you and then projects from within you. That's what this Queen of Cups represents. She's never at a loss. Like, even when she looks like a hanged man, she's never at a loss for direction, because she's always in tune with the director of her life. And she notices herself, she recognizes herself as the projector, the premium, supreme projector of creativity from an internal space. Most importantly, she knows that the spirit of her is the essence of her, and that's where she co-creates from. It's like when I was speaking about that current and being, washed away in the waves as opposed to being carried with the universal waves. That's what she realizes, that she knows that she is the wave. That's the Queen of Cups. Like, she knows that she's the wave and she's one with the universal spirit that speaks through her and to her. And that's the current that she follows. Nothing else really matters. And because that's her focus, her come from, and her fortitude, she, again, is always balanced. At any given time, this hangman can come down from the tree when he feels like he has the answer. He decides to move forward with an action. He's never really stuck. He's never really lost, because he's always open to the frequency of the divine to communicate to him and through him. Same vibration. Maybe perhaps this is the masculine in that union, and this is the feminine. It's been a great balance of masculine and feminine energy here. But whatever it may be, we are encouraged even still to tap into our feminine force that is innate to us all, in some ways smaller and grander than others, but to be surrendered to that psychic intel, that supernatural sensation, that speaks to through into the essence of our lives, that really gives us a blueprint to follow when you can't see the horizon, you out on sea and you don't see any land in sight. This is what grounds you to be stabilized in your spiritual intelligence and being trustworthy here. Again, trusting that essence of you as a receptor of divine intel and as a projector, of the same. I hope that makes sense. I'm having to trust my spiritual self today because I feel a little strange. But in any event, you know, I know that you got some value of this. Maybe not all that I have intended to expel, but I know something resonates today. And if it does, I would encourage you to please like the video, comment, certainly subscribe, even if you don't feel moved to share. If there's some synergy here with anything that I'm saying, you know, side note as I end this message, it's disheartening to me when I see YouTubers that I even subscribe to and I like and value the messages that they bring, which are quite a few. And I see the great disparity between their views and their likes. And it doesn't make any sense to me, because when I watch a video, if I found some value in it, I have the reverence of that creator to at least give it a like, you know, for the sheer purpose that they were obedient to their spiritual nature and were courageous enough to share what was imparted to them. If I find any value in it at all, the least I feel inclined to do is like. You know, I don't always subscribe to new people that I come across right away. It takes a little bit of time for me to connect with that energy, unless you're just exceptional and I know from first off, you know, that this is someone I want to tap into or tune into. But a like really costs you nothing. It's just a tap on the screen, you know, and I'm not saying that for me because I want to hoard any likes or that I feel even measured by likes, because I don't, because I know that if nobody likes the video, if the spirit compels me to say something, it's already invaluable. I know that if nobody watches it, just me speaking, that's my spiritual nature, that I know just me having the thought, let alone actually sharing it out loud, makes an impact and an impression on the universe. So it's not the measure of me as a woman. It's about the connectivity of creative souls. And if you find a synergy or connection to anything that is said, whether it be here or otherwise, a like is definitely a seed that is worth sowing into the creative sphere, so that we're all encouraged to just keep doing what we're doing, you know? Hopefully it'll encourage the creator to keep speaking, if that brings an inspiration to you, hopefully it'll encourage you to be expressive in whatever spiritual sense you feel called to do. All right, so anyway, I'm off my spiritual soapbox. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment as you feel guided. And until next time, peace.